Craig, you are a friend, but also you worked as a therapist, and that is why it's so exciting to talk with you today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, let's start with this. Many men say that to say 3 words, I love you, rather than I need help, is much easier. Why is that so?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't really know why. I don't know why. I mean, it's the world we live in. We are not taught to do that. There's this idea that men are supposed to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, knowledgeable, invincible. There's a long list of things they're supposed to be, and I guess asking for help is a sign of weakness or a sign that you are failing in one of these expectations. So, yeah, and I think that even if men may feel the need for help and long for help, they just don't have the vocabulary. They just don't know how. I mean, if you said to someone, I want you to call this guy and ask for help, you may as well say, I want you to call this guy, but you have to speak Swahili with him. The guy just, okay, I don't know how to do that. We're just not taught to do that. You know, there's this idea that being self-reliant and self-sufficient is like the male ideal, you know, and it just gets beaten into us. So we lose the ability, quite simply, to do that, even if we would like to. And then if we ever do, it's a relief. But it's just not an instinct we have.
Thank you, Craig. And is it then why men do not take good care of their health? And they do not go to the doctors maybe enough? And why they do not go to the therapy enough? Why do they not take care of the health? Or not enough men take care of the health? Is that related?
Probably. I think part of being a man is not complaining, not making a big deal out of small things. So this, I'll be fine. You know, I have to be really, really bad before I go to the doctor. Really bad. You know.
How bad does it have to be? Like everything broken?
Well, almost. You know, it's got to be something pretty serious, and that's the whole idea that men don't complain. We just soldier on. You know. So I think, yeah, and also I think fear. There's a fear that you may have to face the reality that you're not invincible, that something is actually broken, that you are ill or maybe even dying or something. So I think there's a denial there. I don't want to go to the doctor because who knows what they'll find if I go there, you know. So ignorance is bliss kind of thing. Yeah, but I do find men, particularly older men, get to a stage where they take pretty good care of their physical health. Because that's something that's kind of measurable. You can get, you know, feedback on that. A lot of men are into sort of biohacking and supplementing and training, and it's all very, you know, you can have a structured approach and get feedback and that kind of stuff. But mental health is another matter that.
Okay, so tell me what needs to happen to a man for them to appear in your office where you worked with them.
Yeah.
What needed to happen to that man in order to see them and to have those conversations?
Usually their wife sent them. Or partner. It's like an ultimatum, a threat. We're not in a good place. You're not in a good place. It's not good for either of us. You need to deal with your shit, and if you don't, I'm out. That was.
So it's only like the relationships, right? When the relationship was failing.
Yeah, I think men usually they have to be in deep crisis to go to I think the first time I went to a therapist, my wife at the time had left me temporarily. So I was like totally lost. And then I went to therapy. But, and she'd been pushing me to go to therapy before that. And I was like, no, I don't need it. I'll be fine. I can work it out kind of thing. So yeah, I really needed that kick in the ass to make me go. So yeah.
Oh, you guys. So, Craig, when was the first time, maybe, when you understood that as a boy, or maybe later only, as a man, there are certain expectations on how you express your emotions or how you should navigate through them? Do you remember that time, maybe, when you understood that just because I'm a boy or just because I'm a man?
Yeah, well, I'd say that in my family, like in a lot of families, certain emotions were not permitted. The bad emotions,
What are those bad ones?
being sad. If you were sad, you were sulking and you needed to pull yourself out of it. And if you were angry, or that just wasn't happening, you were not allowed to be angry or express anger. So the bad emotions were sort of pushed aside. So I was aware from a very young age that those things were not okay. And then, I mean, I only have a brother, so I don't have a sister, so I couldn't really compare if there was any difference in being in the way we were treated. But I did become aware quite early that my dad would say, "Don't be a Mary." A Mary was a girl, right? So if you cried, or if you were upset, or if you were afraid of doing something, then you were a Mary, right? So, and stoicism was really encouraged. So as a 4-year-old, I could go to the dentist and get 3 fillings without anesthetic and not cry. Okay, and then I was a good boy. Then I was a good boy. My little brother, who cried and screamed and fought and kicked, and it was really difficult. He was a Mary.
Oh, you heard that?
Yeah, I heard that. And then, of course, at school, when you got to school, particularly high school, girls could be quite brutal. If you behaved in certain ways, then you were gay, and if the guys called you gay, that didn't really matter, but the girls, you wanted to be liked by the girls. And if they were calling you, a little puff, as they said in Australia, that was really hurtful. So you had to have this mask of, tough guy masculinity, which was very weird.
You just said mask, and what is this that men have to mask mostly? What is this that they need to hide? And if it would fall off, what's under it? What's there, guys? What is this that you need to not show us and hide behind the masks? And you can speak on behalf of those you know and yourself.
Yeah, well, I guess it's all those bad feelings, isn't it? There's sadness and anger and just a sense of vulnerability, In order to navigate the world as a man, you're expected to be invincible, unbreakable. So there's a fear that if you show that, you will be toast, you'll be eaten alive, kind of thing. So you can't really do that. So yeah.
And look, the paradox of this, that men raise men. If I may say this way, kind of, there is this expectation coming from a man.
Yeah.
But a woman, as a partner, would want you vulnerable.
Yeah.
She would want you
Yeah.
to show those emotions, right?
Exactly.
So somewhere, as if we were taught from wrong books or something, because a woman will always have an expectation. Share with me, talk with me, open up. But then comes this dad's teaching, maybe.
Yeah, I think women are always looking for connection,
Yes.
but for men, connection can be dangerous. Because in order to truly connect, you have to drop the mask and be vulnerable, and that's dangerous territory. So they don't really know how to do that. And of course, men raise men, or they don't. I think the main problem is that men don't raise men. A lot of absentee fathers, a lot of emotionally distant fathers, so there is not a lot of connection and engagement.
So where do the men find out how they should be or how they...
Well, I guess by watching their fathers, even if they're bad role models, they will absorb that out in the world, I think you see that a lot around the world with young men forming gangs and getting into that kind of stuff because they're looking for male role models and they don't have one at home, and they'll find one, and that may be a terrible one. It may be a gang leader or an Andrew Tate or something like that. because they
Please
don't.
don't find that, guys.
Yeah, that's just very destructive. So, yeah, what was the question again?
Well, yeah, it was among those lines, Craig. You know, when men are teaching other men, but as you say, not always there is one
Yeah.
available or
Yeah.
not present. That.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, many couples now are not couples anymore.
Yeah.
Lots of divorces, right? So children are
Yeah.
not being raised necessarily by dad at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's why we look for. Sorry,
You're
thank
right.
you for doing this
I
job.
know, that's-
So yeah, that's why they end up looking for answers.
Exactly.
What is a man? How
Yeah.
I should show up as a man?
Yeah.
Not just a human, a man. There is this other agenda there, maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of conflicting
Yeah.
expectations. You're supposed to be strong, knowledgeable, resilient, but then you're also supposed to be sensitive and tuned in and considerate.
I'm
and
sorry,
it's, you know,
guys,
it's
this
just
is
like
not easy.
it's you're like, oh, what am I supposed to do? So yeah, it's difficult, and I think it's particularly difficult for young men these days with social media. I mean, I didn't have to contend with social media, but you have all these influences coming in and you're always comparing yourself to everybody else, and I think it's very destructive. So my heart bleeds for young people generally, and young men. It's a very difficult world to navigate.
Yeah, and what do you think? How does the voice, inner voice, on average, most common inner voice of men sound like, and what does it usually say? There is, we have those parts of us, those inner voices talking and speaking to us all day long. What do you think this voice sounds like, and why?
I think it's probably quite a sad voice, and I think it's probably saying, it's not fair. It's not fair. Life isn't fair.
And why so?
I just think there's just so many expectations and so little room for your true self and your true feelings. And, I think that's just, they feel they have to play roles, they have to play lots of games that they don't want to play, in corporate life, all this kind of stuff. I think in relationships, they often feel that there's no space for their emotions. They feel that their partner is asking them to share and be vulnerable and all that stuff. But then when they look at the landscape of their relationship, they feel there's no space for that, because they are assigned the role of being the rock, of being steady, being strong, so their partner can have their little meltdowns and he has to be there and, strong and stable. So I think many men feel that there's mixed messages. Be vulnerable, be open, share with me, connect with me, but in reality, there's no space for that. So I think that's a difficult, I know I've struggled with that, because I grew up with a mum that suffered from depression occasionally, even wound up in hospital once when I was 9 years old. And I was always trying to make sure mummy was doing well, and tuned in and being the intermediary between my dad and my mum, trying to negotiate and all that kind of stuff. So very much tuned into what was going on around me. So when you grow up that way, there's not a lot of space for your own feelings. First, you have to make sure that everyone else is doing okay, and then maybe there's a little bit of space for you.
And now, Craig, do you allow yourself to show your inner world more? Are you allowing yourself this? Do you make space for that? And why should you?
I try. It's still a struggle. It's still a struggle. If I feel that my partner or my kids or someone is struggling, I will stand down from my own troubles, just park those, and go off and deal with them myself. So Yeah, it would be very hard to me if someone around me is sad and struggling. It's impossible because, oh, well, now it's time for me to talk about I'm feeling sad too, you know. It's just not going to happen. It's just you stand down from your own feelings and you take care of those around you and make sure everyone is okay. Mm.
How to give you guys this space, or you guys need to create that space, claim that space, so that you can put it out there, right? Yeah. Because you've seen all those people coming to you also for help, and what a difference it made in their life, and where you could move through those conversations also. Yeah. Someone needs to talk to you guys.
I don't know what the answer. I mean, it just shows how deeply rooted it is. I mean, me at the age of 60, and after years and years of therapy, and after working as a therapist and helping other men with this stuff, I still struggle with that. It's just so deeply ingrained, you know. It's just reflexive behavior. So it's not an easy question.
Yeah, because if you were told from the early days not to show that, not to talk about that, so we know that it's not good, but subconsciously, of course, it's still there. That gate, exactly. That gate that keeps us away from the real us, from the real emotions and world. But if men would not have a problem to talk about all that, if they would be sharing everything openly, just like they do. You guys talk a lot about sports and supplements and whatever, politics, women, I guess, cars. If everybody would be talking about it openly, what do you think, what would be possible in such societies? How would they look? It's a bit of a fantasy world, right, for us?
Well, I think there would be fewer Donald Trumps and Vladimir Putins running around, because I think all these masks that we are forced to wear are very isolating, and don't foster cooperation or understanding. And then you wind up in a situation where men use aggression or violence to impose their will rather than negotiation and connection. So I think the world would be a much better place.
And that's what we want. So if someone young is listening right now, or not necessarily very young, anyone who is listening, watching, you, Craig, you have life experience by now. You've seen also the other men's journeys. What is this that they need to hear? What is this that we could give them a permission for? The freedom for something. Can you give this to them?
Well, I'd first of all say that it's okay to be a man, okay to be male. I think there's been a lot of discourse over the past decade where maleness is seen as fundamentally toxic and bad and broken. And of course, there is a toxic form of masculinity, which we see in aggression and violence and all that kind of stuff. But just fundamentally being male, it's not your fault. There's nothing wrong with you, you know. The second thing I'd say is that it's, to young men in particular, it's okay not to know things. There's this expectation in life that men should just magically know how the world works. They should know how a car works. They should know how to please a woman sexually. They should know, just magically know all these things. And of course, as a kid, you can't do that. And I think that leads to a lot of young men in particular being sort of inflated know-it-alls at telling the world how it is kind of thing, which is not good for anybody. So you're young, it's okay not to know. You may look around you and think that all these older people have got things worked out, but they haven't got a fucking clue either, right? But what they do have maybe is perspective, and maybe a faith that things will work out in the end, and that I think when you're young too, you're forced to make these decisions about, you know, school and university and careers and relationships. And you tend to think that these are life and death, that your whole future depends on this, getting this decision right. And that was the way it was for me. And that led me to make some very bad decisions because I was so stressed about it, right? So it's okay not to know. Not every decision is life and death. you have time to change course, to change your mind. Yeah, I think those two things would have helped me a lot.
That is beautiful and that is good because indeed probably it continues this story of you should know everything. You're a man. You should be doing those things. Men, this is what men do. Just like there is some wrong expectations of this is what women do, right? But there is no job description. How to be a man? Who is the one?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Yeah, and in many ways, I think it's a kind of silly discussion. All this talk, what is a man and what should a man be like? I mean, obviously, I am a man, but I don't go around thinking, I'm a man. It's not a part of my identity as such. You know, I don't. So just be a person, right? Be a good person. Don't worry too much about that. And don't listen to, I mean, if you've got someone telling you what a man should be, that's a red flag, right? Walk away from that guy, right?
Yeah, Craig, and we are chatting because soon is November, and once it's out, it's probably November then. And this is the month where we want the men to get more aware of how important it is to take care of ourselves. Physical health and mental health. And we want them to feel safe to start opening up to each other. You guys, I know you don't sit in front of each other. You need to be side to side and you need to do an activity as you share, as you share. But just saying to your friend, you know, I'm struggling. It's important. Just opening up a little bit so that someone can share their best, like you, maybe to a younger guy, giving this permission. It's okay not to know. It's okay to feel a bit lost. But also it's okay to say, I don't know. Yeah, so if there is anything still to wrap it up, because tell those guys that they are important, that it's time, it's now or never, right, Craig? Because you've probably seen men going to very deep, bad places, and maybe you lost even someone that you know because they didn't share.
No, but I know people who have lost people, and
why?
Yeah, exactly. And I've been in fairly dark places myself. Never suicidal, and fortunately, I've had the ability to, when I've hit rock bottom, I've been able to sort of observe myself and say, okay, is this where you want to be? Is this the person you want to be? And I've had the ability to say no and push off and say, okay, let's do something about that. And I'm grateful for that. But not a lot of people, well, some people can do that obviously, but a lot of people can't do that.
If they're really that low, Craig,
Yeah,
what is important for them to know?
That there is help. There is help. People do care.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I remember once when I got divorced and I wound up. I was going to do all these great things, go over road trips and all this stuff. And I ended up just lying in my little apartment looking at the ceiling for like 6 weeks. And I thought, oh my God, is this what my life's come to? 50 years old. And I sort of realized then that if I died in that apartment, no one knew where I was. It'd be weeks before anyone discovered me. My kids didn't know where I was. I didn't have a partner. And that was kind of tragic. So I thought, okay, you need to stop isolating yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you need to reach out to people. So, yeah, I think all these self-isolating behaviors that men have are potentially very dangerous.
And there we're returning back to where we started, asking for help.
Yeah.
Asking
exactly.
for help.
Yeah.
Rather, it's the withdrawal that happens, dealing on my own
Yeah.
versus I need help.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah. Ask for help. There
Ask
is
for help,
plenty
yeah.
of help. The
Yeah.
friend, the
Yeah.
neighbor, the specialist. Yeah. You guys, we care about you.
Yeah, and my experience
we do.
has been that if you lead the way with your male friends and share and say, I'm not traveling well, I'm in a bad place,
Yeah.
they're fine. They're great. They'll get on board. They may not want to be the one to go there, but I usually think if you lead by example, the others will tag along.
Thank you, Craig, for being vulnerable,
My pleasure.
open, and talking about your feelings, which is not so common yet, but everybody will get there, I'm sure.
Thanks for having me.